Mike Jackson, Chairman and CEO of Auto Nation. Mike, you got a lot. We have a lot to talk about. What should we talk about first? I'm going to let you go wherever you want to start with it. Did you have an idea this was coming?
First, I've said quite publicly, quite often, I wouldn't run an automotive manufacturer without a captive finance arm. And I'm all smiles on this deal on so many levels. There's no question that GM was leaving a lot of business on the table by not being able to address this market segment. And let's not forget, in this whole last years, the auto industry never lost its underwriting discipline. There was no massive write-offs around automotive credit. So the industry knows exactly what it's doing. And, Joe, what it also indicates is that there's absolutely a functioning relationship between General Motors and its largest shareholder, that something like this deal can get done in this environment. So as far as this deal, I'm all smiles. It's a plus on every level for us and for General Motors and for the shareholders of General Motors, who eventually have to be paid back, namely the U.S. government. It's a great deal. You
also had, we had to hit you with that first, Mike. I know you have some earnings that we want to talk to. Again, beating expectations at 38 cents. That was well above last year's 29 cents and 2 cents ahead of expectations. What else? What are the highlights? Revenue? How was that?
Yeah, I think revenue is the highlight, Joe. We had a 20% improvement in revenue, driven by a 20% improvement in retail unit volume. And if you look at what drove that, number one, compared to a year ago, we have an improving credit environment. We simply didn't have enough credit for our traffic and for our demand a year ago. So it's simply a healing of credit. But then I also look at truck sales for us up 40%. Our Chevy and Ford brand business is booming. So a recovery of the domestics, that business is up 30%. And a recovery of our geographic footprint with Florida and California, both up over 20%. And then if you look at the fact that revenue per vehicle is up $1,000, that margins are up per vehicle, that incentives and discounts are down per vehicle, it all points to a genuine recovery that's going to be sustainable.
I think last time we had you on, we were trying to get some clarity on what happened in late May or early June. And I think you were able to tell us that you saw what was a slight slowdown from where we had been, whether we moved some demand forward earlier.
Here's the context. Here's the way I think about it, Joe. If I look at the third quarter of last year, which had the boost of Cash for Clunkers in it, which was a phenomenal program, the third quarter for the industry averaged a selling rate of 11.5 million units. I believe the third quarter of this year will surpass that, even with Cash for Clunkers comparison. So that's quite a level of genuine improvement over a phenomenal stimulus program for a year ago. And as an expression of that confidence, if I look at the second quarter, again, coming back to us, we repurchased 12% of our shares in the second quarter. We did a major acquisition, buying one of the largest Toyota dealerships in the country, with some other acquisitions, revenue run rate of $200 million. We're doing $150 million in CapEx. So I really have to get this call right, whether this is a genuine recovery or not. So it's not that I'm sitting here voicing an opinion. We, as a company, are aggressively acting on our belief that this is a genuine recovery. Now, for it to go to higher levels than what they are today in 11 and 12, there we need recovery in employment and stabilization and recovery in housing. And I think all that will happen over the next couple of years. But that's not what we need for this year. The healing of credit is going to get us to 11.5 million units for this year.
Right. Okay, Michael. I think you're booked again soon with sales numbers, things like that. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks, I figure.
Great seeing you this morning, Joe.
Okay. See you, Mike.